For years, I've struggled with the term good writing. What does it mean and what it means to a story in general? It's always been one of those pieces that I've never understood. And even looking at my writing here, I still struggle whether or not if it's good or not. Even though that's been the big key I want to emphasize, there is a difference between good writing and what you can do to be a better writer. For the months that I've been working on this new book and how it is, I could show all the pieces. I could show all the pieces of what makes a good story here, but it really starts with the habits you do. The habits you do with your writing truly emphasize what you can do to be better, how to be a better writer, but also creator in general. And in this video, I'm here to explain 5 big habits that I personally do each and every day to not only become a better writer, but a consistent worker that will indefinitely succeed when the time comes. With that notion in mind, the first point I want to make is sleep. Sleeping is one of the biggest terms I pointed out in some of my earliest videos, but knowing what a good sleep schedule does to make a good writer, it shows in between the schedule. The way you sleep and what time you both wake up and go to bed at helps figure out what time you work with your story or piece of writing in general, whether it be a school essay or just a piece of literature as a whole. You can do so much pieces with that literature, but to be a good sleeper helps aid that work process. Sleeping is good for resting the mind. It allows pieces that come together that you don't usually look at, but it helps emphasize what you can do better. I, for one, know that when I go to bed around 9 to 10, in between that window period, and wake up around 5 to 4 to 5, I do an awesome job at not only writing my story, but it also allows me to both take in the night before and also stretch it out. To be able to sleep good not only helps with the writing process, but it also affects how we think about creative ideas. The way your mind thinks operates by the habits you do. And by sleeping well, your mind is a lot more refilled. Think of like a full meter. The more energy you have based on getting it back from sleep, the more you'll be able to work on this piece that doesn't feel as blatant or redundant in that term. But emphasizing on what you can do to make your mind sharper with your writing, the second big habit I would suggest is diet. The food you eat not only affect how you operate throughout the day, but it also gives your mind the energy, similar to sleep. There's a difference between the healthier food options and the sugary kind. The sugary kind are exactly what they're set out to be. They're high in energy, but they diminish long-term effects. It's the idea of delayed gratification I talked about earlier in a previous video, but it's also about the whole idea of both eating more consistent food. Now, I wouldn't suggest changing your diet to be more in tune with it. I consistently go to the gym, and even this point helps me out. But it's really just to eat the same food over and over. My parents make fun of me all the time for eating eggs, yet to me, it is the single most important food to my own work habits and my own ethic as a writer. Eating eggs to me is the best food not only for protein when I go work out, but it also uses so much energy for me to then sharpen my mind to both not only record these videos here, but to also write my story really well, even in those periods where I don't think it's as good. The key to a good diet is all dependent on the both scientific stuff, but it's also just breaking down the carbs, fats, and proteins. I may not be the biggest expert in this field, but knowing my own skills with working out to diet, I can share what I know here. But including the health metric of both sleep and diet, the third big tip I would love to share out is truly the idea of working out in your free time. I love having a strong body like so, and it may sound cringy for someone who sits all the time and writes, but to be able to not only get the energy out, to get the cardio moving, along with your work, to have that good balance, it's an amazing feeling to then be able to build on top of. You don't want to be sitting on your butt the whole day, non-stop writing or working. It's not how it's going to work. Your mind's going to get exhausted soon enough. So to be able to be flexible and movable, that's what you should do. As a young man myself, you should be able to move around whether you're a guy or a girl, to just run, work, and exercise all the ideals you have in mind. And using those factors in mind, you can then not only impact your story with a sharper, clean-edged mind, but you could also do so much more with your story in general. You can tell the details with how you exercise, or you could showcase the impact of those large exercising fields. Either way, it doesn't matter. No, either way, it should matter. The fourth big tip I want to emphasize with this is, even though I mentioned the health factors, there's also one huge tip about consistent writing that I would love to share, and it's a habit I do all the time. It's a consistent schedule. Consistent schedule each and every day. I briefly touched on this point with sleep, but to be able to get to your writing every single day, all 7 days a week for 24 hours, that is how you get ahead. It's not by doing it at a specific time. That's in the small scale. If we want to look at a specific time for a piece of writing that's done small, think schoolwork. But if we're looking at something long term, which I'm certain you're here to watch for, then look out for a schedule that perfectly works for you. It doesn't even have to be writing, but if it could be a specific hobby, interest, or some kind of business, do it at that same time. As I said, 4 to 5 is my time to write every single morning, all 7 days a week. I love to do that, and especially towards the middle of the day, towards the 5 to 7. It doesn't work at the afternoon from like 12 to 2, but if you get what I'm saying, then you'd understand what I mean. As a whole, writing is one of those big chunks that takes so many habits to write. But the big final tip I want to mention, this fifth habit, that not only helped me center what I want to do, but it's also just this idea to go outside. It's not hot right now, but it is a good point to say that going outside allows your mind to not only rest up with your pieces, but as a whole, it allows these habits to build up and sharpen where you're going. To meditate on ideas, delay the gratification, and to truly write something that you don't know what it could be made of. Sometimes I don't know what my writing is gonna look like. Even with a full plan, I don't know where I'm gonna take my character. And while I don't advocate for breaks, going outside to take in the nature when it's hot, use that opportunity. It's an amazing feeling that you don't often get, and when it's cold or when the climate's gonna get worse come several years from the future, it's gonna be a regretful feeling to not be able to go outside as much anymore. So as doom and gloom as that sounds, remember to use all these habits: to sleep well, to eat well, to exercise well, build a consistent schedule, and to go outside. All 5 of them do their exact purpose, and if you don't know what I'm saying, truly try it out. Try out all these pieces, all these habits, and to go out there and make your work, because you have something special to say. But if you don't get ahead of the game, then you're not going to be able to get to that level where everyone's going to see your work, whether you are a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter in that terms. And to simply put it, you have what it takes. The question remains, however, are you willing to go that far? Thanks for watching this video. If you want more inspiration for ideas I'm sharing here, check out the top link of the description to read my first book. If you want to help me edit my second book, it's down there too, along with my socials. And until next time, take care.